Barack Obama was born on August 4th, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. His mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, was from Kansas, and his father, Barack Obama Sr., was from Kenya. Barack's life was shaped by the mix of cultures he grew up with. His mother was American, and his father was African. This blend of cultures made his early years unique. When Barack was just 2 years old, his parents separated and later divorced. His father went back to Kenya. Barack only saw him one more time in his life. After the divorce, Barack's mother married again. This time, she married a man from Indonesia named Lolo Suetoro. Barack moved with his mother and stepfather to Indonesia, where he lived for several years. It was a big change for him, moving to a completely new country. But during his time there, Barack learned a lot about other cultures. He saw how different people lived, and this gave him a broader view of the world. After living in Indonesia for a few years, Barack's mother decided it would be better for him to go back to Hawaii to continue his education. So Barack moved back to Hawaii to live with his grandparents. His maternal grandparents, Madeline and Stanley Dunham, took care of him and made sure he got a good education. They were kind but also very serious about his studies. They believed that education was the key to success in life. Barack's grandfather would often tell him that school was not just about getting good grades, but about learning important things that would help him in the future. Back in Hawaii, Barack went to Punahou School, one of the best schools on the island. He was a good student who loved to read. He was also interested in sports, and he played basketball. Barack enjoyed spending time at the beach and exploring the outdoors. Hawaii's beautiful environment gave him a sense of peace, and it made him think a lot about his own identity. He often asked himself who he really was, what it meant to be a black man in America, and what his place in the world was. These questions made him want to learn more about his father, his African roots, and the history of black people in the United States. Barack's mother was a big influence on him. She taught him to respect all people, no matter where they came from. She also taught him that everyone deserved a fair chance in life. These lessons stayed with Barack throughout his life. Even though his parents had divorced, he always felt a strong connection to his mother and the lessons she taught him. His mother was a very strong woman who always pushed him to do his best. During his high school years, Barack started to think more deeply about his identity. He read books by African American writers and learned about the history and struggles of black people in America. These readings helped him understand more about himself and the world around him. It also made him more interested in how he could use his education to help others and make a positive change in the world. When Barack finished high school, he knew he wanted to go to college. He decided to leave Hawaii and go to the mainland United States to study. He moved to Los Angeles, California, to attend Occidental College. This was a big change for him because he had spent most of his life in Hawaii. Los Angeles was a large city, and Barack was excited to meet new people and experience a different way of life. He was eager to continue his education and learn as much as possible. During his time at Occidental College, Barack started thinking even more about his future. He realized that education was not just about learning facts and figures. It was about understanding the world and using that knowledge to make the world a better place. He became interested in politics and social issues. He wanted to learn how he could help bring about change and fight for justice. After 2 years at Occidental College, Barack transferred to Columbia University in New York City. There, he continued studying political science and focusing on international relations. New York was a fast-paced city, and Barack loved the energy of the place. He met people from many different backgrounds, and this helped him learn more about the world. He started to think deeply about the challenges people faced and how he could use his education to help improve their lives. By the time he graduated from Columbia University in 1983, Barack was more determined than ever to make a difference in the world. He had learned a lot about the world's problems and felt a strong desire to help solve them. He knew that education was the tool he needed to achieve his goals. He also realized that to make a real change, he would need to work with others and learn from them. He understood that education was not just about individual success, but about improving society as a whole. Barack's early years, spent in Hawaii, Indonesia, and later in the mainland United States, taught him many important lessons. He learned the value of education, the importance of respecting others, and the need for fairness and justice. His experiences shaped him into a man who believed that everyone, no matter their background, should have the opportunity to succeed. He also realized that education was not just for personal growth, but also for creating positive change in society. As Barack looked back on his early life, he saw how his mother's lessons and his experiences in Hawaii and Indonesia had shaped his views. He knew that his journey had just begun. He was ready to face the world and take on the challenges ahead. His education was the foundation of his future, and he was determined to use it to make the world a better place for everyone. By the time Barack finished his studies in Hawaii and New York, he was prepared to take on the next chapter of his life. His early life had taught him many important lessons, and he was now ready to move forward and make a difference in the world. His journey was just beginning, and he knew that education would always be the key to unlocking his potential and the potential of others. Barack Obama's early years were full of change and new experiences. After living in Hawaii, Barack's mother remarried to a man from Indonesia named Lolo Suetoro. When Barack was about 6 years old, his family moved to Indonesia, where they lived for several years. This was a big change for him. He had never lived outside of the United States before, and now he was in a completely new country with a new culture, language, and way of life. Living in Indonesia helped Barack see the world in a new way. He was surrounded by people who lived differently than the people he knew in Hawaii. He learned about their customs, food, and traditions. This experience made him realize how much diversity there is in the world, and it helped him understand that there are many different ways of living. He spent some of his childhood in Jakarta, the capital city, where he learned to speak the Indonesian language. Even though he was far away from his original home, Barack's mother made sure he continued his education. She believed strongly in the power of learning. Barack's school in Indonesia was very different from his school in Hawaii. The subjects were taught in both Indonesian and English, so it was sometimes difficult for him to understand everything at first. But he worked hard, and over time he became comfortable with the language and the lessons. Living in Indonesia also taught Barack about the importance of family. He grew close to his mother and stepfather, who cared for him and always made sure he was safe and happy. However, despite this, Barack missed his grandparents in Hawaii. He would often think about his life there, and he started to realize how much he appreciated them and the life they had given him. When Barack was about 10 years old, his mother decided that it would be best for him to return to Hawaii to live with his grandparents. She believed that he needed a strong educational foundation and wanted him to be able to focus on his studies. So, Barack went back to Hawaii, where he once again lived with his grandparents, Madeline and Stanley Dunham. Back in Hawaii, Barack continued his education at Punahou School, which was one of the best schools on the island. It was a place where he could focus on his studies and learn more about the world around him. While living in Hawaii, Barack became more interested in the world and his place in it. He started asking questions about who he was, where he came from, and how he could help make the world a better place. In school, Barack was a good student. He enjoyed reading, and he loved learning about different topics. He was especially interested in history and politics, which made him want to understand how the world worked. He also liked playing basketball and was on his school's team. Sports helped him learn about teamwork and leadership, which would become very important later in his life. Although Barack had many good friends in Hawaii and was happy there, he still thought a lot about his father, whom he had not seen in many years. He wanted to know more about his father's homeland, Kenya, and the African culture that was a part of him. He often thought about what it meant to be black in America, and how his African roots fit into the larger picture of his life. These thoughts made him more determined to learn about his heritage and what it meant to be part of the African American community. As he grew older, Barack began to ask bigger questions about identity and race. He realized that many people in America faced challenges because of their race. He wanted to learn more about the struggles African Americans had gone through and how they fought for justice and equality. This was the start of his journey to understand the importance of social justice and equality for all people. His mother, who had always been a strong influence in his life, encouraged him to keep asking questions and never stop learning. She always told him that education was the most important thing in life, and that he could make a difference in the world if he worked hard and stayed focused. Barack took these lessons to heart, and they would stay with him throughout his life. When it came time for Barack to graduate from high school, he decided that he wanted to continue his education by going to college on the mainland. He moved to Los Angeles, California to attend Occidental College. This was a big change for him. He was leaving Hawaii and his family behind and heading to a big city with people from many different backgrounds. At Occidental College, Barack began to learn more about the world and his place in it. He continued to explore his interests in history and politics. He also became involved in social issues and started thinking about how he could make a difference. This was when he first began to see the power of education to create change in the world. He wanted to learn more so he could help people who were struggling and make the world a better place for everyone. Barack also realized that his experiences living in Hawaii, Indonesia, and now California had shaped his views on life. He had seen many different cultures and ways of living, and he had learned that everyone deserved the same opportunities, no matter where they came from. This understanding would guide him throughout his life and help him make important decisions later on. By the time Barack graduated from Occidental College, he was ready to take on the world. He had learned so much from his experiences, and he knew that he wanted to continue his education and use his knowledge to help others. He was determined to become a leader who could make a difference and bring people together to fight for justice and equality. Barack's early life, from his time in Hawaii and Indonesia to his education in Los Angeles, helped him develop into the person he would become. His mother's lessons about the importance of education, respect for all people, and the need to work hard and do his best stayed with him throughout his life. He understood that his experiences had prepared him for something bigger, and he was ready to face the challenges ahead. His journey to find purpose and meaning in life was just beginning, and it would eventually lead him to the White House, where he would use all that he had learned to bring about positive change for the American people and the world. After Barack Obama graduated from Columbia University in 1983, he decided to move to Chicago. This was a new beginning for him. Chicago was very different from New York, and even more different from Hawaii. Barack wanted to use his education to help people and to learn about the real challenges many people face. He felt that Chicago, especially the south side of the city, was the right place to start. Barack found a job as a community organizer, A community organizer is someone who works with local people to help them solve problems. This job was not easy. It was not about sitting in an office or making a lot of money. Instead, Barack spent most of his time meeting with people in their homes. He talked to them about the problems they faced and listened to their ideas on how to improve their neighborhoods. The South Side of Chicago was a place with many struggles. There was a lot of poverty, crime, and people were often without good jobs. But Barack believed that people who lived in the community knew best how to solve their problems. His job was to help them come together, find solutions, and speak up for what they needed. Barack worked with church groups, local businesses, and other organizations to make things better for the people in the area. Barack learned a lot during his time as a community organizer. He saw firsthand how difficult life was for many people, but he also saw their strength and determination. People in the community wanted to change things, but they needed someone to help them understand how to make it happen. Barack helped them work together, set goals, and take action. As a community organizer, Barack learned important lessons about leadership. He realized that change does not always come quickly, but it can happen when people work together. Barack understood that true change starts from the bottom, with the people in the community. He also learned how to listen carefully to others and how to make people feel heard and respected. These lessons would help him in the future, when he would become a politician and work for even bigger changes. After working in Chicago for a few years, Barack began to think about his future. He knew he wanted to do more to help people, but he also knew that to make big changes, he needed to understand the law and politics. Barack decided to go to law school. He applied to Harvard Law School and was accepted in 1988. This was a big step for him, and it marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Before he left Chicago to go to Harvard, Barack knew that his time as a community organizer had changed him. It had given him a deep understanding of how important it is to work with people and listen to their concerns. It had also shown him how much power there is in community. He had always wanted to make a difference, and now he knew that the best way to do that was to learn more about the law and how it could be used to help people. At Harvard, Barack continued to develop his understanding of the world. He became very involved in school activities, and his leadership skills were noticed by his professors and fellow students. It was at Harvard that Barack first began to think seriously about running for office. He realized that politics was the best way for him to create the kind of change he had always wanted to see. Barack's time in Chicago was very important to his development. It helped him understand the real challenges people face and gave him the skills he needed to become a leader. His work as a community organizer was difficult, but it gave him a sense of purpose and showed him the importance of helping others. He learned that change does not always happen quickly or easily, but with hard work, dedication, and the support of a community, anything is possible. Barack also realized that he wanted to do more. He wanted to fight for justice on a larger scale, to change the systems that caused people to suffer. He believed that by becoming a lawyer and later a politician, he could make a real difference. His time in Chicago taught him many valuable lessons, but it also inspired him to dream bigger. The skills he learned, the people he met, and the lessons he gained would shape his future and lead him down the path to becoming a powerful force for change. In the end, Barack's time as a community organizer in Chicago was more than just a job. It was a time of personal growth and learning. It was during these years that Barack Obama began to see the kind of leader he could become. He knew that he wanted to spend his life fighting for justice, equality, and the rights of those who were often forgotten. His experiences in Chicago would serve as the foundation for everything he would do in the years to come. As he began his journey toward becoming the first African American president of the United States, After Barack Obama spent a few years working as a community organizer in Chicago, he realized that to bring about real change, he needed to learn more about the law and how the political system worked. He believed that the best way to make a bigger impact was to study law and then get involved in politics. With this goal in mind, he decided to apply to Harvard Law School, one of the best law schools in the United States. Barack was accepted to Harvard in 1988. Moving to Massachusetts was a big change for him, and it marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Harvard Law School was a challenging place. The students there were some of the smartest in the country, and the classes were tough. But Barack was determined to succeed. He worked hard, studied a lot, and quickly proved himself as a strong student. While at Harvard, Barack became deeply involved in the activities of the school. He was not only focused on his studies, but also on how he could make a difference. He was elected to serve on the prestigious Harvard Law Review, which is a journal that publishes legal articles and research. In his second year at Harvard, Barack became the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review. This was a huge achievement and showed his leadership abilities. During his time at Harvard, Barack also thought about his future and how he could use his law degree to help people. He was deeply interested in issues like racial justice, civil rights, and poverty. Barack believed that by understanding the law, he could help create a fairer and more equal society. His time at Harvard strengthened his desire to make a difference and fight for justice. It was also at Harvard that Barack met Michelle Robinson, a fellow law student. Michelle was intelligent, strong, and also passionate about public service, just like Barack. They became close friends, and eventually they got married. Together, they would work to make a difference in the world. After graduating from Harvard Law School in 1991, Barack returned to Chicago. He started working as a civil rights lawyer and also taught constitutional law at the University of Chicago. His work as a lawyer gave him the chance to fight for people who had been treated unfairly. He represented people who had been denied their rights and worked to make sure that justice was done. Barack's time at Harvard was a turning point in his life. It not only helped him become a skilled lawyer, but also made him more determined to get involved in politics. He knew that, with his education and experience, he could fight for change in a way that would help more people. His passion for justice and equality grew even stronger, and he began to seriously consider running for office. His time at Harvard gave him the tools and the confidence he needed to take the next step on his journey toward becoming a leader in politics. After Barack Obama finished his studies at Harvard Law School and worked as a civil rights lawyer, he began to think about his future and how he could make an even bigger impact on society. He had always wanted to help people, and he realized that the best way to do this was to get involved in politics. He decided to run for office and work to make changes at a larger scale. His journey to the White House began with his decision to enter politics. In 1996, Barack ran for the Illinois State Senate. This was his first time running for political office. It was a big challenge for him because many people did not know who he was. But Barack believed in the power of listening to the people and working with them to solve problems. He talked to as many people as he could, listened to their concerns, and shared his ideas for change. His campaign was focused on issues like better health care, improving education, and making the government more honest and fair. Barack's message of hope and change connected with many people. He won the election and became a state senator in Illinois. He was known for being a hard worker, a good listener, and someone who cared about the issues that mattered most to ordinary people. He worked hard in the state senate and was able to pass several important laws that helped improve people's lives. One of his biggest achievements was his work on laws that helped poor families get tax breaks, improved health care for the poor, and made sure that the police were accountable for their actions. As a state senator, Barack gained more experience in politics, and people began to see him as a leader who could make a difference. He was passionate about social justice and fairness, and he knew that he could use his platform as a politician to help more people. But as he became more successful in Illinois, Barack started to think about a bigger stage, the United States Senate. In 2004, Barack decided to run for the U.S. Senate. It was a huge step for him, as this election would give him the chance to represent all of Illinois, not just one part of the state. His opponent was a well-known Republican named Jack Ryan. Many people thought that Barack would not win because Ryan was very popular and had more money for his campaign. But Barack's message of hope, unity, and change resonated with people across the state. He worked hard, traveled to every corner of Illinois, and spoke to thousands of people. He talked about the need for affordable health care, better schools, and creating jobs. His speeches inspired many people, and they saw Barack as a leader who could bring positive change to Washington. One of the most important moments of Barack's campaign for the U.S. Senate came when he gave a speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. He spoke to the crowd about his belief in the American dream and how the country could become stronger if people worked together. His speech was powerful and inspiring. He shared his personal story and how his life showed that anyone, no matter their background, could achieve great things in America. This speech made Barack a national figure and helped him win the election for the U.S. Senate. In November 2004, Barack won the election and became a U.S. Senator. This was a huge achievement, and it showed that the people of Illinois believed in him. As a senator, Barack continued to fight for the issues that mattered most to him: health care, education, and economic fairness. He worked on laws that helped middle-class families and pushed for greater transparency in the government. He also worked to improve the country's foreign policy, focusing on diplomacy and building better relationships with other nations. While serving in the Senate, Barack continued to think about his future. He saw that the country was facing many challenges. There was growing inequality between the rich and the poor, wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and many people were struggling to get affordable health care. Barack believed that he could help solve these problems by becoming the President of the United States. He knew it would be a difficult challenge, but he was determined to try. In 2007, Barack announced that he was running for president. He was still a relatively new senator, and many people questioned if he was experienced enough to be president. But Barack was confident in his message. He believed that America needed change, and he wanted to be the person to bring that change. His campaign focused on hope, unity, and making the country stronger by working together. He wanted to improve health care, make education more affordable, and create more jobs. He also wanted to focus on ending the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and making sure that America was respected around the world. Barack's campaign for president quickly gained momentum. People were excited by his message and his ability to connect with them. His speeches were inspiring, and he traveled across the country to talk to voters. He spoke about how Americans needed to come together to solve the country's problems and create a brighter future for everyone. In November 2008, after a long and tough election, Barack Obama won the presidency. He became the first African-American president in U.S. history. His victory was not just a personal achievement. It was a triumph for all the people who had supported him and believed in his message of hope and change. On January 20, 2009, Barack Obama was sworn in as the 44th President of the United States. Barack's journey to the White House was long and challenging, but it was also full of inspiration, hard work, and dedication. His belief in the power of hope, his commitment to justice, and his determination to bring about positive change helped him win the trust of the American people. He showed that anyone, no matter their background, could achieve great things if they worked hard and believed in the power of change. Becoming president was just the beginning of Barack Obama's journey. His presidency would be marked by many challenges, but he was ready to face them head-on and continue working for the people of the United States. Barack Obama's life story is a powerful example of perseverance, hard work, and the belief that one person can make a difference. Born in Hawaii to a diverse family background, Barack faced many challenges, but he never gave up on his dreams. His journey started with questions about his identity and grew into a passion for helping others. From his early education in Hawaii and Indonesia to his time as a community organizer in Chicago, Barack learned valuable lessons about leadership, justice, and the importance of fighting for what is right. He then moved to Harvard Law School, where he became the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review. This achievement helped shape his future path, as he realized that the law could be a powerful tool for change. After graduating, Barack worked as a civil rights lawyer, helping those who had been treated unfairly. But he still believed he could do more. His entry into politics marked a new chapter in his life, as he ran for the Illinois State Senate and later became a U.S. Senator. His work in the Senate helped him gain the experience and understanding he needed to run for the highest office in the country. In 2008, Barack Obama made history by becoming the first African-American president of the United States. His victory was a symbol of hope, change, and the power of believing in oneself. His presidency was filled with challenges, but he continued to work towards his vision of a more just and equal society. He focused on improving health care, addressing climate change, and making sure that all Americans had the opportunity to succeed. Barack's story teaches us many valuable lessons. First, it shows us that no matter where we come from, we can achieve great things if we work hard and stay focused on our goals. It also reminds us that we should never be afraid to ask questions and seek answers. Barack was always curious, always learning, and always looking for ways to make the world a better place. Another important lesson is the power of community. Barack understood that change doesn't happen alone. It happens when people come together to support each other and work towards a common goal. In our own lives, we can apply these lessons by setting goals, working hard to achieve them, and staying determined even when faced with obstacles. It's important to keep learning, stay curious, and never stop growing. And like Barack, we can work to make our communities better by helping others and standing up for what is right. I hope you enjoyed listening to Barack Obama's story and learned something valuable from it. By following his example, we can all strive to make a positive impact in our own lives and in the world around us. Congratulations on improving your listening and understanding skills in English by following this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories and educational content. Your support helps us create more videos to keep you motivated and inspired on your English learning journey. Thank you for listening.